All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to more Black Desert. My name is John, and today we're going to be talking about fairies and all about how to get them, best skills, and what you should know about this. So, one of the things that I've always heard is fairies are actually the most pay-to-win thing in this game, and to an extent, I do agree with that. So, first of all, an intro to fairies, just in case you guys are new and don't have one itself. So I believe there's a quest. I don't remember what level you need to start it, but it's probably somewhere in the suggested tab if you are new and just haven't found it yet. And so basically it gives you a tutorial of how to get one, and then that gives you a tier 1. But if you are looking to get a better one and just re-roll, here's how I would do it. So you get these Lila petals by just doing anything, grinding, gathering, and life skilling. So just by playing the game in general, you're gonna get them, and then I'll show you like more of a step-by-step process on what to do afterwards. So you talk to this fairy queen over here. I'm gonna exchange these for sealed fairy wings. What we're gonna be doing is opening them and showing you what I get, and generally most of them are tier 1s, but then I'll show you what you can do with extras, and then we'll talk about how to level them up and all the good stuff afterwards. So let's just speed open these. I think I saw a tier 3 just straight up. We'll show you what you can do with them afterwards, and it's actually pretty important because you can use them for tier 10 horse materials and everything. So to give you an idea, we got we got 2 tier 3s, and then at least 2.5 rows of tier 1s. And glimmering is tier 2, so we got a few of those. Okay, so now that you have your fairy, let's assume you have a tier 4, right? Okay, cool. And even if you don't, we'll show you how to upgrade them. So what I do with mine, assuming you have yours as well, you see these? If you turn your extras into mythical feathers, that's also really good because these are very useful for tier 10s. I think these are pretty sure the bottleneck for most people of going for tier 10 horse attempts. And then after that, you could just trade your extras for a honey wine, and you could also use them for leveling up your fairies. But I would save these for as a last resort and hold off until later on. Okay, so let me show you how all of this works. Ignore half of these for now. Let's say you have a tier 1 fairy and you're wondering, okay, how do I upgrade it? So when you hit your growth button, I personally can't do it, but what you would do is every tier fairy can go up 10 levels. So like if you have I believe that goes up to tier 4, and tier 4 is 50. But a tier 1, I believe, is 10 levels because every 10 levels you unlock one new skill. And then a tier 2 would be level 20. So at tier 1, assume everything is irrelevant up until tier 4, and then at tier 4 is when things matter and you should consider re-rolling. So the way you level them up is one of few ways. So first of all, you probably have a bunch of green boxes from random things, and that gives you green gear. And you can also buy it off the market as well. Just whatever price of, I don't know, whatever green stuff you can find off the market. That is also used for leveling up your fairy, along with the honey wine. This also gives a lot more XP, but I don't know how much of this is sitting on the market, so consider green gears easier to get. Now, every fairy, this is actually just something extra. If you actually have your audio on, there's a few different types of fairies, right? Every one has some sort of voice line and color. So for example, my fairy is blue, and that's the aloof one. But like there's like green, red, and all the stuff that you guys saw before. So just it doesn't really matter. That's just more like aesthetics and pick your favorite color kind of thing. And after you get it to level 40 or 50, that's when the highest tier 4 is a radiant. I guess you can see by over here, it tells you tier 4 is a radiant, tier 3 is a brilliance, and then tier 2 is glimmering, and tier 1 is faint. So once you get it to 50, these are all the skills you can get. I will tell you the most important ones to aim for and the ones you should consider on later on. But if you're like free to play and you don't want to spend any money, here's what I would do. So these are all the skills that you can get in total, and they go from like Pride to Tet, or 1 to 4 is how we can look at it. So all of these skills, most of them I would say are pretty useless, but the one you would want first is Miraculous Cheer, because this one allows you to auto use potions, and not having to hit your potion button is just really nice, especially if you have the infinite potion. You just you have to worry about it again. You just set it one time and you're good. So Miraculous Cheer 5 is the one you want, and it's 5 exclusively. Why? Because if you look at each tier level, it auto potions every 6 to 5. It goes down 1 second of cooldown every time. So obviously you want the max one, which is the equivalent of being able to use your potion just on cooldown. So like if you have Miraculous Cheer 5, you can use your normal potion the same way you would if you were clicking it manually. So in my opinion, that is the #1 most important skill you should get. And by tier 4, you should probably have all your skills already. And I think there's a way to get it to tier 5 when it came out with continuous care. I just don't remember how it was done. But after that, you want to get Feathery Steps 4 or 5. Honestly, this one is less relevant than Miraculous Cheer 5. You kind of want this one at 5. So after that, you would go for Feathery Steps. Now, what this one does is allows you to go past your 100% weight limit. So let's say you have 1,000 weight, right? Now you can go 105% past it, and then all the way up to 125% at Feathery Steps 4. Now, I do believe if you can get this as early as possible, this actually, in terms of value, compared to buying weight off the market or just like the Pearl Shop, obviously they both go hand in hand together to the point where it's kind of important to have both of them. But this one, if you can get it early, will save you a little bit of real money in a way, assuming you can get it without spending. And this is something I would think is worth re-rolling. Now, whether you get 1 to 5, I think it's just good to have this one in general. And so if you have a 4, I would try to go for a 5, but if you have a 4, realistically, it's probably fine as well. And then the third most important skill that I would recommend to people is Continuous Care. Now, what this thing does is it allows you to auto use potions, and every time like it runs out, it uses it again. So how does it work? If you go to your item settings, you can toggle this on and off. And for me, I have one for just grinding normally, and then I had one for elixir rotations. That's an entirely new video itself. I'll leave a link in the description to my elixir video, because this one actually uses all 16 to 20 slots. And before you think about getting Continuous Care 5, really just ask yourself, do you need all 20 elixir slots? And what are you doing to the point where you think it might be relevant? So, in my opinion, just as a tip from me to you, most people don't need Continuous Care 5. And the people that do, you're either high-end PvPing, very high-end grind spots, or you're rushing the boss splits and trying to go for leaderboards, which also don't mean anything because it resets every week. So, unless they have like a global leaderboard for boss splits, it's one of those things you just do to get the first time reward, and then that's it. So yeah, you should set one up. It gives you 3 slots by default. What I would do is 1 for grinding. Here's what I would do without elixirs: your main food, your frenzy draft or whatever you use, and then maybe any perfumes or scrolls that you might have on the side. So that's probably like 4 to 5 in total. So as long as you get Continuous Care 1 or up, that's generally good enough for most people. And if you can get a 5, that's awesome. But realistically, you have to know what you're doing if you're using all 20 slots. So I think this is one of those things where you have to know how you play, and what you do depends on what level you should get. So if you're like at the very end game grinding those spots, then yeah, it might be worth it. But if not, chances are 99% of players just use your standard cron food and a frenzy, maybe a perfume or something, and a scroll, and then that's good to go. I personally don't put scrolls on there just because, like, if you don't use that many, then it doesn't really matter. Plus, they have like weird timing. Some have 60 minutes, some have like 2 hours, some have like 90. It's weird. I just pop them as I go. I think the most important one to be using is if you don't use the hour-long drafts, then like the 15-minute ones, it's good to have them just going so you don't lose any cooldown time on it. And then this one I have for life skilling. Well, I haven't really used that in a while, but you know, you just click your life skills. And then this one was more for all the elixir rotations I used for boss splits and everything. So it's a little bit different. And yeah, just find something you think works for you. And I think it's good to go. And I realistically think that like around like between level 2 to 4 are probably good to go for most people. And just really depends on what you do. So the next skill that I think is important for most people, I honestly, the rest of these are all just personal preference. Because look, this one allows you to instant resurrect without losing XP every like 12 to 6 to 3 to 1 hour. If you're dying that many times to the point where this actually matters, I think you're playing the game wrong. Just straight up. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. If you're dying like once an hour, you're doing something wrong. Plus, they give you a lot of extra like Alien's tears by just playing the game. Like, I literally have thousands of them just sitting there, and I even have some in my inventory and on multiple characters as well. I don't even know why. So realistically, I think that's this is kind of a wasted slot because 1, you shouldn't be dying that much. 2, you don't need them for PvP, and it just auto uses it for PvP, which is kind of a waste. So unless you put your fairy away. And yeah, so let's see what's next. We have Tingling Breath. This one just allows you to breathe underwater. I have it because I used to go underwater gathering, and trust me when I say underwater gathering kind of sucks and I hate doing it, but I think it's more relevant and nice to have than some other skills like the fairies tier. Just don't die, and then that fixes the problem. So Inexhaustible Well is, it's not a bad choice. I just don't think it's really worth it because, like, if you have an infinite potion, it really just negates this entire skill in general. Plus, it's like auto use one of those purified water for a hypothermia or heat stroke in the desert. But it's every 3 minutes, and the thing comes back more frequently than 3 minutes to the point where I don't think it's worth it. And realistically, here's what you do if you don't have it. You get one of those purified water or star anise teas, you put it on your quick bar and just push the button when you get it, and then you don't need this skill entirely. So next thing we have is the Morning Star. People actually ask me this all the time. It's like, why do you have this? So you know that little torch bug thingy that you can buy from the vendor for 20 silver, and it basically illuminates your surrounding area for an hour? You can negate this. I think this Morning Star is actually a really useful skill, especially if you're grinding in dark spots all the time. So like, I have been at Histria for over 600 hours throughout the past year and a half, and when it's nighttime there, it's actually really dark. So just being able to have this on as a toggle on and off, just like basically a nightlight at any given time, it's always nice. And plus, it saves 1 slot in your inventory. It doesn't matter. It's not a big deal, but it is really just nice to have a toggle on and off. And there's only 1 level of this skill because it's like, it's on or off. And then, yeah, so I think Morning Star is a very good one. But that's one of those personal preference one as well. And the last one, is that it? I think that's it, actually. Yeah, that's all the skills, actually. Thought there was one more. So, in my opinion, Miraculous Tier 5, highest priority. If you don't get it, re-roll the fairy. Or if you are paying to win, re-roll that skill. Number 2, I would probably choose Feathery Steps because being able to get a feathery steps, even if it's at level 1, it will probably give you more weight than buying all the like inventory, or not inventory, but the weight limit stuff on the pearl shop. So once again, they kind of go together. The more total weight you have, the 125% will be higher. So I do think that feathery steps is an important skill. It's just not like highest priority. Maybe number 2. Continuous care is it. Ask yourself before you roll it, how many elixirs do you need? Here's what I would do. Look in your elixir inventory. How many of them do you actually use when you're grinding? And then count those up. And then if you need all 20, cool. If you don't, then you don't need or continuous care 5. I have a video talking about all the elixirs I use for PvP and PvE. It's an endgame video, admittedly, more for someone who's trying to min-max to the fullest. But even if you're trying to do this for yourself, here's one thing I would say. You kind of have to have a little bit of an established life skill knowledge to yourself, because you have to gather some of the elixirs yourself, or like the materials to make them. And then you kind of have to have some alchemy stuff set up. So if you're mass producing them for a while, then obviously it takes time. So yeah, it's really just end game stuff. Do I think you need it? I don't know. And then here's how the miraculous cheer works. You get to your potion settings. Whatever potions you have, whether it's infinite potions or not, it'll give you 2 slots. Like here's what it looks like by default. Put these in. You set the slider. Click confirm. Whenever your health or mana go below these percents that you set, it hits the potion button, and then you never have to think about it again. And yeah, that's what I think are important. Some of you guys may be wondering, like, why does mine have the extra skill of 10%? That was a cosmetic thingy back when they did like the, I think, Berserk collaboration. Every now and then they bring it back. So skill XP 10%, it's kind of irrelevant. I just liked how the fairy looked, to be honest. And yeah, it just looks like that. So basically, once again, to level up your fairy, you can use the sweet honey wines that you had before, or you can just buy the green materials off the market. Same thing. Let's talk about the pay to win part, because that is a topic that I think is important, whether you're thinking about getting it or not. So there's an item called the Yaya's Orb, and these basically allow you to re-roll the skill. And I've actually got these off the market, or not the market, the events, and I didn't pay for too many of them. I paid for when they came out for continuous care, and we have a video of that, but I just never want to do that again. So here's how it works. If you look at the tooltip, it says if you have 1 skill, which is basically if you have a tier 1 fairy, and then you only need one orb to reroll. If you have a maxed out fairy at 5 skills, it takes 5 orbs to reroll. And quite honestly, the next step for me in my fairy would be continuous care 5, and that is very difficult to get, to the point where I think 16 is good for me. You know what I'm gonna do if I don't do it? I'm gonna push that button manually, and then it'll be good. So yeah, let's actually talk about this. And I don't even know where it is on the, is it under pets or I don't even know where they are. Hold on, I'll find it. They're probably under travel aid fairy, right? Okay. Yes, this is pay to win. What these honey wines do is the equivalent of the honey wines that you can get off the market. These basically just give you more XP than the non-pearl version. So honestly, these are not really worth buying. Just buy the ones off the central market. Don't spend real money on it. This is basically a reroll, and these orbs are skill rerolls. So if you are going to re-roll your fairy. Just use the orbs. Don't like reset your entire fairy like that. And yeah, it's a very expensive thing. I trust me when I say I know this, because I've dropped money on this, and I think for the majority of players who don't care about min-maxing, if you don't get Miraculous Cheer, just re-roll it. It could be a lot of silver from starting from 1 again, but realistically, that I do think this is the most important thing. Everything else is up to your play style. Do you think you need it? And that's about it. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. No matter what, it is kind of up there in terms of the pay to win, but I do think these are definitely worth looking into. So hopefully this was an educational video to the point where I talked about what I think is important, what you should aim for, and how it might help you. And if you did enjoy this video, drop a quick like on the video. I do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I do make videos for beginners, returning players, and people who are just looking to get better, along with a lot of quality of life improvements that I think are important. So hopefully some of my videos are educational. And before I head out, I just want to say that we still have our code running on A-coin purchases and or game packages. So if you're looking to get into the game and or buy pearls, use my code Jonlaw. It's not case sensitive, and I get a small commission for whatever package you get. So I would really appreciate it if you did, and if you don't, it's okay with me, as long as these videos are informative and everything. So hopefully you just learned something and are enjoying the game. That's all that matters to me. So even if you don't, that's cool with me. But with that said, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.